Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots, and we are making this really adorable Boho Woodsman Gnome with a free hat pattern. Now this guy's built on the Cozy pattern, that free hat pattern, and look at him. He is a tall drink of water at 20 inches tall when seated. If you'd like to make him, boop, just stick around. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. Now, supplies. We're going to get to them, but look at this guy. I said he was 20 inches tall, but I really do have to stress he also has 9.5-inch legs. All right, we're going to use two colors of felt. We're going to use fur, a trim, and then we're going to use some material for the hat. I used twine, obviously with scissors, hot glue. I'm going to make a little plant for him to hold, and I also made a 1.5-inch nose and 1/2-inch hands out of polymer clay. As I mentioned, this is built on the very, very popular Cozy Gnome Pattern. The reason this is popular is because A, it's super easy to put together, and B, it is everything built into the body. It's a really cool design. All right, this is the hat design we created for this guy. It's made kind of like with a lot of structural details, but really easy to sew up. We're going to pin those right sides together, and then just along the long edge there, and then we're going to take everything to our sewing machine. We're going to start and reverse our stitches, and here you're going to leave that opening as it calls for in the pattern, and then we're going to attach the base once we sew up the side here of the body. I get a lot of questions on this. It helps if you sort of flip out and mushroom the base in order to make sure. I promise you this pattern has been tested literally thousands of times, and it works. Everything fits. So once you have it all pinned together, you're just going to sew that with the inseam called out in the pattern, making sure to start and reverse your stitches so it is very secure. All right, at this point, I just flipped everything out and then rolled the bottom seam in between my fingers to make sure it's laying flat. And then I'm going to use my finger and a bamboo skewer to make sure that tip is poked out, because this is the base for our hat as well. Now listen, because I filmed this 2 years ago, I was still using rice. Yes, I know. I don't use it. I don't recommend it. It can sprout. It can mold. It can attract rodents. It just gross. So now I use and recommend poly beads and fill. All right, so once you have your weight in, you're going to stuff the rest of it up with our poly fill. Easy peasy, right? Love easy projects like this. I love this pattern. This is a very robust pattern, and you know I have done it a million times to show you all the ways you can do it. I did not put a wire in here, but if you'd like to make a high gauge wire or a thick gauge wire, please fold over the top and the bottom and be sure to capture it when you're sewing up or gluing this opening closed. Now for the hat, you can absolutely sew these pieces, but I'm using stitch witchery, which is just like a fusible that doesn't add a lot of weight or stickiness. So I'm just going to place it on there and fold over each edge of my side flaps. And I'm going to use my Cricut mini press or Easy Press Mini. I don't know. I use the thing almost as much as my glue gun. I also did the other flap, and I did all the way around the bottom edge of the hat. Now the reason I did this is because this is a very slippery fabric, but you can absolutely sew this on your sewing machine, okay? This is just me being lazy. By the way, if you want to be lazy too, I can get this on Amazon for a really great price, but it's also available at your craft store. All right, so I put a little tiny piece of wire in the very tip of my hat because I wanted to make a knot that was a loop, because this needle point hat doesn't go all the way up. It actually extends past the body of our gnome. All right, so you don't have to do this. This is also just plush fur that I cut out, and I'm going to attach to the inside flaps of my hat, pointing the cut in the back. And then I'm going to repeat that for the second side, and I'm also going to put it all the way around the edge of the hat on the brim. Okay, here I'm just going to put right sides together for both the arms and the legs as called out in the pattern, and stitcheroony those as well. For the shoes, do you want to learn the easiest shoes and boots ever? It's this. It's a rectangle of fabric with some polyfill tied up with twine and secured with a little hot glue. That's it. I love these shoes. They actually look really cool in person when we have them done. Right now they look like sachets, but I promise it'll get better. All right, so before you stuff the legs, go ahead and attach them. You can sew, you can glue, whatever your heart desires. But do it before you fluff them or stuff them with fluff. I'm just learning how to speak. All right, so here I'm going to stuff both the legs, and I made knees, which is just like a little denser fabric where the knee would be. You don't have to do that, but do this when you get it through. Go ahead and glue down that top edge because we need that to be secure. So push in these edges right here. Now, if you would like to stuff your legs full of the Dollar Tree foam rollers, you can do that too. These will fit that as well. All right, so here I'm just going to add a little fur trim to the bottom, making sure it's wide enough to cover that top of the boot. And then I'm going to put the fabric backing and glue that fabric backing together because I wanted them secure. This obviously leaves a good bit of space at the top, so I'm going to pleat these bits of fur like 4 times around the whole leg, and I'm also gluing it to the leg at that point. All of these folds are hidden. You'll see in just a second. I'll show you. All these folds are hidden, so you can't really see them. Now, one theme I incorporate throughout this whole rustic guy is everybody's favorite farmhouse material. Well, I suppose burlap or buffalo check is favorite, but somewhere in there is twine. I'm just going to wrap this up with twine, secure that knot with a little hot glue, move on, and do the second leg the same way. To finish out this shoe, I'm just going to put a little hot glue right here on the bottom. I'm going to stick it on some scrap felt that matches the body. And then I'm just going to trim this down into a circular-ish shape. It's rustic. All right, you'll see I have to clean mine up. Woo, that looks like a teardrop, but you know, it's rustic. All right, so now you can always put the thin Dollar Tree foam rollers in the arms. I just put polyfill. I didn't put any wire because I'm going to have mine holding something, so I'm going to glue it. I put a little bit of fur at the bottom pointing the opposite way, and guess what? I'm going to put a little twine on that one too. Again, I wanted to keep this theme throughout. So I'm going to knot it, and then I'm going to double knot it, and then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue right at the knot. Next up, I'm going to go and find wherever my hand rolled to. I don't know where it is. I have them all over the place. All right, go grab your hand and stick it up in there. There it goes again. I promise I'm not on a hill. I don't know why these are rolling everywhere. All right, we're going to continue to do that with our second arm and then move on to the beard. Now, just between you, me, and everybody else I tell about gnomes, I think the beard makes the gnome, so I love large, thick, robust beards. If you don't, make a smaller beard. I'm just cutting the fabric backing, not the fur. Then I'm going to attach the top first before I glue down the rest of it to make sure I like where it sits. In order to do that, I'm going to slip on the hat, and I'm going to get an idea of whether or not I want a mustache. Guess what? Like always, I do. To cut a mustache, you're just going to create a rectangle-ish shape, split the fur in the middle, and then flip it over. Glue that fabric backing together. I would recommend finger guards, you know, because I probably burned myself 3 times. Don't watch. Don't watch. All right. Now, this was also before I started telling everybody to split the fur to its fabric backing if you're going to glue anything to it to make sure it stays forever. So do that for both the mustache and for the nose. Always with the nose, I like to glue the hat down to the top of the nose to make sure that focal point doesn't go anywhere. Now I'm going to flip it around and do the legs. I put glue on the top and sort of press them in so that when they fall, you can't see that glue. Does that make sense? You see his little knee? Oh my goodness, I love knees on gnomes. Okay, so we're going to place the arms as well and the other leg. Let's do the other leg first, Sarah. Press it up so you can't see that join. All right, now the arms. Glue one on, make sure the other one matches, and then glue the arm to the body, and then the hat to the arm. Also on the hat, be sure to pull that hat down to really elevate the front of the face, and then glue it down all the way in the back. It's not moving anywhere. This is optional, but you know those clearance bottle brush trees that are so tiny no one ever buys them? I bought them. I cut off a bit of cork, glued them in, and then wrapped it in everybody's favorite material. A little bit more twine in our project here. We're going to wrap this all the way around so it looks like a little planter, like he's the daddy of the forest. He's a gnome of the forest. Y'all should come up with a name for him. Somebody asked me if I named my gnomes. Sometimes I do. All right, so now we're just going to glue his hands to this, and guess what? Bippity boppity gnome, you're done. I love this guy. I think he is so massive and robust. He's one of my favorites. I don't know why it took me 2 years to edit the video. All right, so what I think doesn't matter. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Both of those patterns are going to be in the box below. If you're on mobile, click that little down arrow. And as always, thanks for being here. Like and subscribe for more crafty fun.